Hey guys, so in today's video, I thought that I would talk about my experience getting a liver biopsy. So for those of you who don't know, about a little over a month ago now, I collapsed at work and basically out of nowhere, I was feeling fine the whole day, collapsed at work and ended up in the ER and my liver function testing, the liver enzymes were extremely elevated. And so that started basically a whole half a month of hospitalization and continued issues even now. So basically, I went to the hospital that I worked at. I went to the ER. Then they basically told me it was anxiety and to go home and take an anxiety pill because I do have Ativan for travel purposes because I was afraid. I've talked about that in another video. I do have anxiety, and my previous PCP had prescribed me Ativan for purposes of travel on an airplane because it had been years since I was on an airplane and I was just very nervous. Anyway, I was still having severe pain, so I went to a hospital in a neighboring town about an hour away, a little less than an hour. Got admitted there, and they discharged me saying it was a virus, which it turned out not to be. I went back to the emergency room at the hospital I work at because I was still having extreme amounts of pain. And basically from there, they didn't admit me there, but they wanted to transfer me out to a bigger hospital that had the capability of taking care of me in the way that I needed and running additional tests that could not be done at the hospital that I work at. So one of the tests was a liver biopsy. I've kind of talked about this in other videos. I was very, very nervous about getting a liver biopsy done. I don't recommend that if you're in the hospital and your doctor tells you that you need to get a liver biopsy. I don't recommend just Googling. I recommend talking to the doctor that is recommending the biopsy to discuss your concerns, get your questions answered. I told him, I was stupid and I Googled, and there's multiple different ways for a biopsy to be done. The type of biopsy that I had was where they basically put you under sedation. I was not asleep for this. I was awake the entire time. I was just sedated. They gave me fentanyl and Versed, I believe it was, and I was out of it, but I was still able to hear everything, and I do remember certain things that they said. So basically, the type of liver biopsy that I had, they went in through right under my breastbone, really. They went in that way, and I just have a tiny little, it's a tiny, you can't even, it's maybe this big of a little spot. It almost looks like a bug bite, but it's not a bump. And it did kind of hurt when it initially happened, but as soon as I showed any signs of pain, the nurse that was with me gave me more fentanyl or Versed. I don't remember which one. I had both, but I don't remember which one she was giving me. And she basically said, if you're in pain, just let me know and I can give you some more medication. I believe she said every 2 minutes I could get more if I needed more. I didn't really need a whole bunch. Honestly, the sound that the biopsy itself made, it's like a little clicking noise when they're taking the samples. That sound was more bothersome to me than actual pain from the biopsy itself. I did have a little bit of discomfort. I wouldn't necessarily call it pain. It was more discomfort. It kind of felt like if I was standing up, it kind of felt like a pulling right here. Not necessarily pain. Like I said, it was definitely a better experience than I anticipated because like I said, when I Googled, I saw a transjugular biopsy and all that where they go in through the jugular, and it freaked me out. And I was so glad that I spoke up and asked the doctor hey, they're not doing it this way, are they? And no, they definitely weren't. So during my biopsy, I was in a CT machine. So they did a CT scan, and they basically placed like this grid over the spot where they were thinking about using as an insertion site for the biopsy needle. And during the CT, they could see that grid, and the actual doctor that was doing the biopsy put a little like X mark on the spot where he wanted to take the biopsy samples, or where he wanted to insert the biopsy needle. So he put a little X mark on the grid, and then they took that grid off of my skin. And then from there, he basically just started getting ready, and we did the biopsy. It took like less than 10 minutes, I want to say. It may have been a little bit longer for the entire process, like from doing the CT to like prepping and giving me the sedation meds. Like all of that probably took maybe 45 minutes from the time I went down from the inpatient floor that I was on to interventional radiology, because it is done in interventional radiology. There are different types of imaging also that can be done with liver biopsies. I believe there was one that's done in ultrasound, and mine was done in a CT scanner. So they did the CT scan first, and then they did the biopsy with the needle. Like my feet were still in the CT scanner when they did the biopsy itself. So it was very interesting. Like I said, I could hear everything. I was definitely out of it because I heard him say something about injected with gel foam, which there is like a gel foam slurry type thing that they inject that helps to stop the bleeding, because there is a risk of bleeding with any type of liver biopsy. So they inject this stuff, and it's supposed to help stop the bleeding. They use it in like trauma situations, and I found it really cool. It's like you can watch videos of it on YouTube of them preparing it, but it's basically like a syringe that has like these gauze things and like a gelatin type stuff, and they inject that to help with bleeding. And when I heard him say gel foam, all I could think of was like memory foam mattress. And so when I got back to my room, like nobody was in my room because my mom was waiting for me to get back to my room before she came to the hospital that day. And like I told her, "Mom, I got a mattress." And she's like, "What?" And so I was telling her, like, I heard him say gel foam, and all I could think of was a memory foam mattress. So obviously I was very out of it. But definitely don't be afraid to speak up and ask questions if you have concerns, or let the doctor know that, hey, I'm worried about this. You have multiple opportunities to ask questions before this procedure is done. If you don't get a chance to ask your doctor about it, ask the interventional radiologist before you go under, because they do specifically have to consent you. And if you have any questions, that would be the time to ask them. It will help you feel better. Or at least it should, to at least know that they know what they're doing and that they can answer your questions. So yeah, I just thought that I would share my experience. I'm definitely glad that that is out of the way. It was not as bad as I was anticipating it to be. Like, I didn't know how much pain I was going to be in afterwards. And like I said, honestly, the pain was really not bad at all. I don't understand the people that they say you can go back to work the day after a biopsy. I don't understand that, because I was feeling weak, and like I don't think there was a way that I could have made it through a day of work the day after I had a biopsy. And that also might have been like because I had been in the hospital for almost 15 days at that point. So that could also have something to do with it, but yeah. Anyways, I just thought that I would share. If you guys have any questions about my experience going through all of this drama with my liver basically trying to kill me, I would be glad to answer your questions. I will have other videos coming about my entire experience that I just have not had the time or energy to sit down and actually film videos about. I'm filming them as I am able to talk about it. Some of the stuff is still very traumatizing for me, so that's kind of why I've been waiting a little bit to discuss kind of my feelings about everything and how everything went in the hospital. So as I am able to film, I will be, sharing my story with you guys and sharing my experience. So yeah, anyways, That is it for today's video. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys next time.